Give me like 5 seconds, just silence. I want that hissing sound. I'm going to edit that out. Let's rock and roll.
From Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment capital of the world, I'm David Gabry, and this is the Vegas Faces podcast, where we talk with Las Vegas locals about what it's really like to live in the City of Lights. Whether you're living in Vegas, moving to Vegas, or just visiting Vegas and looking for new adventures, together let's discover the hidden gems that make Sin City the most visited place on earth.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Vegas Faces. We got an awesome episode today. I've got my wonderful and amazing friends Mike and Talia in studio. They are here for Vegas Golden Knights Stanley Cup Championship Game 1. This is our pregame. We've got pizza, we've got beer, we've got whiskey, we've got all the fun things going. Fun fact, I know Mike and Talia all the way back from college at the University of Arizona. Not to be confused with Arizona State. We are not Sun Devils. We are Tucson, Arizona, University of Arizona Wildcats. Going back to those days. Now, this is how we party as adults in a podcast studio. So without further ado, please welcome Mike and Talia. What's up, you guys? How does it feel? By the way, I'm going to totally talk to you as if you're playing in the game. Today's game day. How do we feel? It's not easy being a super fan.
Oh, yeah, it's not easy because we were here in the original 2018 season, all the way through at the games, standing in front of T-Mobile when the Capitals beat us. So it's been a long 5 years to get back here. And, yeah, you do feel like you're a part of the team. It gets we've been nervous for days now, just waiting. And it's also hard because we just went through this jam-packed month of hockey every day, and now we have this 3-day break of no hockey, and it's
feeling withdrawals.
Well, no, you give a chance for the nerves to build up. Yeah.
It's been a very nerve-wracking series. Like Vegas would blow them out 5-0 and then they'd lose 5-0. It's like nothing was close, no matter what.
This last one though against Dallas, it was all overtime, shutout. So I don't know. I'm confident that the Vegas Golden Knights were able to box out McJesus and Draisaitl and with the Oilers, so they can box out Kachuk. And let's just see if we can get past that goalie who's standing on his head right now.
Now, the two of you have had season passes since day one, yeah?
No, Daddy has had. No, so when Vegas expanded, it was they first came to multiple cities and see who can sell out the most season tickets as like who's going to get this expansion team. And we were a part of that first round. And when I say we, just like we're a part of the team, Dad was a part of that first round of getting season tickets. So yeah, we've had the same 2 seats since day one in 2017. Yeah.
Talia, how does it feel for you?
Exciting. I don't always get to go to all the games, so it is really exciting to be here and stuff because Mike is usually out here working, and so he'll get a game in. So I'm super excited. The games are honestly incredible. Even if you don't like hockey, it's really fun to be there. They do put on a great Vegas show, and like what we were just talking to you guys about, the standing room, I don't know how expensive it is now, but it's so fun. You don't even have to have seats. You could just stand, and then they have the standing room inside the arena, and then they have the big screen TV on the outside, which is super fun. So you even get to be part of that just coming into the game. You get to see everybody out there. It's a really great time. I mean, I used to go to like the Ice Dogs and the Bullfrogs and stuff in Long Beach and Anaheim growing up and stuff, and that's always great and always fun. This is a totally different, hockey game. It's insane. So.
Yeah, it's almost weird to watch an NHL hockey game without an organ, playing the classic hockey organ tunes. But at the same time, I think it's got to be just one of the best places to visit for the NHL here in Vegas. I think the whole entire community here in Vegas knows that we make a living on the service industry. So unlike going to some of these other cities where it's like we want those tourists,
Totally.
Yeah.
I'll say thanks to you guys it's the reason I've been to a Vegas Golden Knights game. It was one time where you were out of town and you said, hey, I don't have, anyone going to the game. Would you like to go? And I'm like, yeah, of course. And my thought, you guys have been to a lot of games, so I don't know if you're desensitized to this or not, but for me, it was like going to another, just like a typical Vegas show. Like you weren't just at a sporting event, you were at a Vegas Vegas sporting event. Not like it was all done in Vegas style. You're going and you're experiencing Vegas while also obviously experiencing the sport and the hockey.
Oh yeah, I mean they incorporate everything from the drum line to the
Showgirls.
showgirls.
Yeah.
I mean
And
they
they
had
have Cirque, like in during the intermission they'll have
of
Cirque show.
They had
and,
concerts year one and the finals. We'll see what they have tonight.
they did.
Yeah,
They
like
had Imagine Dragons and
a
stuff.
bunch of different
They're
bands.
from Vegas, aren't they?
Yeah, they're
Yes,
Vegas.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
same with the Killers.
Wow.
Sam's Town. That was
Yeah.
right. Isn't that the name of their first
Yeah,
album?
or one of the
or one of them. Yeah.
And even the concessions, like you're not just getting like Joe Schmo's hot dogs, like you're going to get a celebrity chef's food also at the games.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun.
You would know more about that.
Well, I mean, it was really fun because year one we had a friend whose sister worked for T-Mobile, and we got into that T-Mobile box a couple times, and they had the really good food up there. But yeah, they have great food, and those food places rotate year to year. So I mean, we had for a year we had sushi
Wasn't
right
there
there. We had Chronic Tacos for a
was
while.
there?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
only
It's
in
not
Vegas.
bad. Yeah. But
Yeah, the only
honestly,
bummer is they used to do the branded cups. They used to have the
Oh, yeah.
Golden Knight plastic cup. We had like a cabinet full of just plastic cups from the original run, and now they don't have the branded cups. They're all just T-Mobile.
yeah, what's up,
I don't
T-Mobile?
know. Yeah, come on, guys.
Here's what I want to know. And this was actually brought up in the previous episode that we did with the broadcaster who was out here specifically to cover the Vegas Golden Knights and the Stanley Cup Finals. He mentioned, as an outsider, he's not a Vegas local, but his perspective was because Vegas Golden Knights are so new, he's not confident or not sure yet are we just bandwagon fans? Is it because Vegas Golden Knights made it to the Stanley Cup in their first year? Like, he's interested to see how we Vegas locals treat the Knights further down in those rebuilding phases. Are we going to drop off? Are we going to stand by them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think this year in particular, like all 4 teams that made conference finals were from Sunbelt states. So we've shown that hockey does work in the desert. I think if, some of these desert teams like the Coyotes where we live were a little bit better teams, they would be some of the most favorite places for NHL teams to play. But I think there is a portion of it where the Golden Knights is for us. Yes, we want tourists to come. Yes, everybody come enjoy this. But for the most part, as a local, I don't ever go to the Strip. Mm-hmm. This brought me back to the Strip, and it was like, this is for us.
Yeah, Vegas born, right? That's the
yeah,
hashtag
exactly.
Vegas born.
That's why I think, at least my perspective, why they're going to always be more popular than the Raiders and the Aces and the other teams. Maybe that's just my hockey bias, but I think that as the front runner of this new era of Vegas sports, this was not an implant team. It was an expansion team, and for a community that's here to serve the tourists, it's nice to have something that's here for us too. So I think, but then again, we're all, there's so many transplants in Vegas. Like we all grew up watching Gretzky in LA, watching Korea in Anaheim. Like Talia said, Bullfrogs, which was a professional roller hockey team that played out of the pond. Like we grew up watching hockey. I grew up playing. I still play beer league. So the idea that we're just fans because it's in Vegas that's a joke too. Yeah, we're hockey fans.
It's the one thing that you can tell a Vegas local just by wearing a Vegas Golden Knights shirt or Vegas Golden Knights hat. You're like, oh yeah, they're from here. They're not just here because, oh, I'm in Vegas. Let's go see David Copperfield and let's go see a hockey game. Like usually whenever I see anyone talking about the Knights or wearing the Golden Knights gear, it's like, you live here, don't you? Mm-hmm. It's like the one unifying thing because like you said, being a transient town, it's very difficult to get into anything that's just unique to Vegas because it's like people are coming and going all the time. So it's a really good point. Vegas Golden Knights kind of just unified those who live in Las Vegas. And like you said, they brought us back to the Strip.
Yeah. And not to bring it down, but the Golden Knights also came out during one of the, more traumatic times for Vegas when that big shooting happened, and that was Vegas strong. So it was, I think, something that solidified, hey, this is the thing that's going to unite us. And it was a time of uniting in Vegas and a time of building community in Vegas. It's like everybody talks about how terrible 9/11 was, but how beautiful 9/12 was with American flags everywhere. It's like, I think Vegas Golden Knights were a big part of that uniting of Las Vegas. And I think that will be another reason that they're always going to be like a hometown favorite and the fans will have a lot of loyalty even in those rebuild years.
By the way, I want to mention that the beer we're drinking, you know more about it than I do. It's, what's his name?
Ryan Reeves. He was our enforcer. He's no longer with us. He's up in New York, but I think he's made it very clear he intends to come back here and retire.
And so what was the number?
75.
75. Man, I'm such a rookie.
He's 7.5 Brewing.
Yeah.
And you're drinking the Smoke Wagon Vegas whiskey. So it's a real Vegas day today.
Vegas, baby.
Well, I want to go back, just like briefly, tell me why Vegas? Because, obviously we all went to University of Arizona in Tucson, and then, we all went our separate ways. What was it that said, hey, we're going up to Vegas to live?
We're both California babies. So we both grew up in Southern California. My father was a part of the executive team that moved the company that I actually work for now. They moved their headquarters from California to Las Vegas in 2004 when I was still in high school. So I stayed in California before going down to the University of Arizona. But what really brought us to Vegas was the fact that my family was here. So my family was here since 2004. And when we graduated college, it was like, hey, do we stay in Tucson? Do we go to Long Beach, or do we go to Vegas? And Vegas seemed to have the most economic opportunities at the time. It had the most available housing that we could maybe get into and make a real estate move early at the time. So
this was right around, we graduated 2009.
Oh, maybe you did.
We did an extra, well, it would have been 4.5 for me.
I think I was close to 6, having the Van Wilder experience. But yeah, we graduated December of 2010.
But I'll never forget at my graduation in 2009, it was like, you guys are entering the worst job market right now. So who cares that you guys took extra time, because it's not like you missed anything.
It's very true. We didn't miss anything.
It's interesting. Yeah. Cause I have a college intern that just graduated, and he's got his first job, and we play golf occasionally. We talked about the fact that, Talia and I and you, we all graduated in a time where there was an abundance of overqualified people willing to take lower salaries. So we came into the job market in a lower salary place, but we came out of the 2008 real estate crash where we were able to get in, and
at the bottom,
we bought a bank-owned foreclosed townhouse for $65,000, so who had it better off? It took us a while to get out of the salary, grave, but then again, we were making it up in bundles with equity. So it was an interesting time. But we came to Vegas, I think, because out of the options we had, it seemed to have the most economic opportunity.
Yeah, we couldn't afford to live in California for sure, or anywhere feasible really in Tucson.
Yeah. And I was a rock climbing junkie. So we came up for Red Rock, which is just world-class rock climbing. We were doing a lot of backpacking and outdoor stuff at that point in our lives. So Vegas is like that center point of the Southwest where it was 4 hours to J-Tree, 4 hours to Long Beach, 4 hours to the Sierras, 6 hours to Salt Lake City, 4 hours to Flagstaff. So it was, had world-class rock climbing. It had fishing, maybe not world-class. It had mountain biking, golfing. So it's just not only a great place to be, but it was super central to all of the passions that we had at the time too.
That's one of the things getting us to move out here, is that we would see you guys' Facebook posts, especially you, Mike. You were fishing. I don't know if you're still a big bass fisher, but it's like every day I'm like, this guy's catching fish at like 5, 6 in the morning, and we're freezing our asses off in Chicago in the middle of May. What are we doing? So it kind of just solidified this idea that we had, which started out as just like, oh, I wonder what it would be like to live in Vegas. And then when we actually came down, we went to one of your barbecue parties, and we're like, yeah, the nights, not just the golden nights, but also the night times here are just magnificent. We're like, yeah, we were sold instantly.
Yeah, we were in Green Valley, and we were, we were again lucky enough. The dad had a boat on Lake Mead at the marina, so we didn't even have to drop a boat. So we were 25 minutes from Lake Mead, 25 minutes from Red Rock. It was a great place to be in our 20s. It was phenomenal. And if we sure as shit didn't have money for the strip, so that wasn't a problem. So, we stuck to the hot springs and the rivers and the lakes and the climbing.
Yeah, if it wasn't for you guys, I would have never thought to hike the railroad trails at Lake Mead at nighttime. Like, I'd been there during the day, gorgeous, and you're like, we're going to go at night. And I'm like, ooh, seems dangerous.
Spooky.
Sounds fun. Let's go. Yeah. And that's like a huge Halloween thing too, I think.
Well, we tried it the first time we were going out for trying to catch a meteor shower the first time, and we thought that might be like the darkest place we could get to close to town. And so we tried it, and then it turned into like that spooky and fun running through the tunnels at night, and start doing it Halloween. And yeah.
Which, by the way, these are the tunnels that were used to ship cargo in in the early 20s or 30s when they built the Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
And they turned that entire train tunnel route into just like a fun little hike.
Yeah, trail or...
Yeah, it's Railroad Pass Trail. If you're into history or honestly even any type of architecture, it's actually quite fascinating. But if you are into that kind of stuff, I would say go during the day first and then go during the night to be spooky. But it's really cool. There's a lot of cool history out there and a lot of cool history surrounding the dam as well.
It always makes me think anytime I'm there, the people that built the dam, because there's like an overpass outlook, scenery outlook, where they show like this is where they lived. They just lived in tents. And we're sitting in my garage right now. It's a little toasty. And I'm like, how did they live without air conditioning?
Well, that's like why Boulder City still has no gambling to this day.
Yeah.
It's because they were all living out in Boulder City and they didn't want the workers getting into the debauchery. And so, yeah, there's no gambling out in Boulder City.
They're all too hot.
Yeah. So...
But yeah, how did they do that? I don't know. I have no idea.
I think if you just didn't know what it was like, you just didn't know.
Have you ever done the tour of the dam?
No,
You
I've
should
been to
check
the
it
dam.
out.
Did my own tour.
So they have a
Self-guided,
tour that can take
Where
you
you go underneath?
the innards, see the turbines, see through the pipes. They'll point out if you look up on one of the canyon rims, there's actually a bunker that they had a big gunner that was always staged there during World War II because they were worried about Japanese kamikazes coming through and crashing into the dam. So they actually have a little gunner bunker up there from World War II that they'll point out on the tour and everything. But yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, see, I love talking about this stuff with you guys because, you're the ones that took us on the boat to see the dam from the boat. Like, we'd always just seen the dam from, driving in the car. But you're like, no, we're going to take the boat and then we're going to see the backside of the dam.
Well, at least you guys came through after the completion of the suspension bridge. Because it used to be when you came from Tucson in college up to Vegas to visit, you had to go over the dam.
It's like an hour out of your trip.
Yeah, well, because it wasn't that bad until 9/11, and then they put like bomb sniffers, mirrors, and all that stuff to the point where we would go and drive through Laughlin, just take the extra 30 miles around, and yeah. But we grew up in Southern California as Boy Scouts coming up, and we would launch canoes at the base of the Hoover Dam, and that's where I did the tour. I did that with Boy Scouts growing up, coming over from California. We would canoe and kayak the Black Canyon and do all the hot springs down there.
Wow. What are some of your favorite hikes in all of Vegas, whether it's Red Rock or Hoover Dam, Henderson area? What comes to mind? Too many.
Well,
you guys have done so many.
Yeah, there's a ton, and I'll just kind of go over some little ones that you can probably access here in town. There's Sloan Canyon has a really great one with some pictographs that you can see. It's not dog friendly. And then McCullough Hills, actually, this is all in Henderson so far, has a great one that you can hike around. And then, of course, there's like Valley of Fire that you can go to. I have not personally been there.
Frenchman Mountain.
Frenchman Mountain's a close one that's in town and everything. But then honestly, not to mention all of our incredible urban trails that we actually have in the city. Yeah. But
once you start getting outside the city, though, I mean,
ones.
I hate to even talk about it, but all of the hot springs on the Colorado River, those are all accessible through trails that are fun.
Why do you hate to talk about it?
Because we're
gatekeeping. No, it's not a secret anymore. They actually, I mean, unfortunately, because
they're that good. You just
it's not that there used to be just buried coolers the whole way down the trails full of extra water and stuff, but too many people passed away in the summertime, so they actually shut those trails down in the summertime, which sucks because it was an amazing thing to do in the nighttime. Do a full moon, you can hike in on those at night. But the one nice thing is if you now go and do one of the Colorado River trips, that means that you're the only one able to access those hot springs because they shut the trail access down. Wow. But those trails down into the hot springs are amazing on the Lake Mead side of town. But obviously Red Rock is full of phenomenal hiking and climbing. Potosi has a lot of great hills. But the great thing about Vegas is we're only 45 minutes from Mount Charleston. So as soon as the temperatures come up, you head up the mountain. You got Mary Jane. You got the whole Rim Trail, North Fork,
Charleston Rim. What's the one in Red Rock, but it's out by the bouldering?
Calico Hills.
That's
Calico Basin. Yeah.
That's a gorgeous hike. That's not, you don't have to go too far anywhere, but it's still in Red Rock. You don't have to deal with the loop. That's like an intermediate.
You can hike all the way around Craft Mountain up and through the canyon pass in an afternoon after work. Especially too after work, if you put a headlamp on. If the temperatures go down, it's amazing. I mean, technically, maybe those.
Just be safe though, too.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
And don't violate the parking.
I need to introduce you to my neighbor. He was on episode 3 and he climbs Mount Charleston in the winter and camps and goes all the way to the top, sleeps in the snow. Like he's an outdoor climbing junkie that also works on the Wynn waterfall, which is technically called the Lake of Dreams. And because of his rock climbing skills, he's the repeller that anytime that they have to fix the waterfall and do work on it, it's like some 8-story waterfall. He's like, oh yeah, that's nothing. I do this stuff on the regular.
Rigging is one of the most popular jobs here in Vegas for the rock climbers. And I mean, rock climbing in Vegas, I mean, Red Rock is world-class rock climbing. And if you talk about U.S. rock climbing, I mean, Yosemite sets at the top of the world. You have Joshua Tree that's up there. You have the Gunks. You have the Red River Gorge. But Red Rock has got to be in most people's top 5, if not top 10. It's an international crowd out there. If you train at any of the gyms in town, you're gonna see famous faces walk through them. It's a phenomenal rock climbing scene. But with that, it does come with, you're at a world-class rock climbing area. So be prepared for crowds. It's like
trash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pick up your trash.
Pick up your trash.
Don't poop at the crag.
Yeah. Yeah. Use a wag bag,
That's what I never asked them. I'm like, you sleep in the snow. How does bathroom situation work when it's freezing?
Wag bags.
It's
the most environment.
Really
I mean, they implemented that at Mount Whitney in the Eastern Sierras. They use wag bags and they remove tons of human waste off the mountain. I mean, they prevent tons of human waste being left on the mountain that way.
Wow.
I've used them.
We've all used them. They're
lot,
incredibly convenient. So,
and the last thing he told me, did you guys know about Death Valley, like mountains? Like I always thought Death Valley was just this flat, hot desert, hottest point on earth, lowest point on earth. He's like, no, they've got the largest elevation gain in Death Valley. And that's only like 2 hours from Vegas, right?
Because like I said, we spent a fair amount of time in the Eastern Sierras, which is just gorgeous, gorgeous land out there. But to get to the Eastern Sierras from here, you're going through Death Valley, or you're going over the ancient oak tree forest, whatever that place is.
Bristlecone.
Bristlecone, yeah, that's amazing. But yeah, if you drive to, for instance, when I left here we've climbed Mount Whitney quite a few times, but if you leave Vegas, you drive through the lowest point on your way to climbing to the highest point in the Continental. There's a race from that bottom point up there. But yeah, it's phenomenal area out there. It's beautiful.
Been backpacking out there, Mojave and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. You get out of Vegas and go up north up to the Great Basin. You go up to the Ruby Mountains. I did mule deer hunting up there, elk hunting up in the Snake Mountains up against Idaho. We have a viable moose herd that have come down now. We got a viable elk herd up there, good duck hunting up there. So,
do you hunt with Joe Rogan?
No, he's already got a crew.
I'll say
no new friends.
I've known, I've not known Joe Rogan, but I've known listening to his stuff ever since 2013, 2014 or so. And, he talks about elk hunting and all this. And I'm like, okay, who actually does that? And then I see Mike and he's like, yeah, I do that shit. Like you've got coolers, freezers full of elk.
Yeah, we have,
you're the only person I know who actually does some of the stuff that Joe Rogan actually does, like in real life.
Well, at least I have a rifle. I don't do the bow hunting, but no, I had
not yet.
A young engineer that worked for me that he got an elk this year, so we fired up the smoker and we smoked some elk this year. But the nice thing about that kind of community is you find people and you learn to share. So you'll find someone that's gone up to Alaska for salmon, and then you trade some elk with them, and then someone's done some whitetail, you trade with them, and it's fun to procure your own meat, but it's far from easy. It's hard work.
Talking about creative endeavors, Talia over here is an artist. I want to talk about your artistic creations and your artistic endeavor, both as an artistic creator as well as the business side, which I feel like Mike is, I would say, is your manager.
Well, I just I mean, let's put it this way. I've made myself into sales management at this point in my career, and I would have never gotten there without her. It's a team effort 100%. So I'm absolutely looking for every opportunity that I can contribute to her career and, helping out on the sales side. And that is my pleasure.
I want to know, obviously the cliche question is like, oh, what's your inspiration and where does it come from? And I find your style to be extremely unique. I went to your art gallery last time you were in town. I see your posts on Instagram and it's very, obviously it's unique. And to an outsider, I'm like, wow, like how does someone even like think of these types of designs? Like where does that come from? What type of ideas do you get in your head and how do you make that vision from your head onto canvas?
Yeah, that is a great question. And it's cliche, but at the same time, it's not. I think artists do want to talk about these things. It's just often people don't understand us. And I think that's kind of where it goes wrong and stuff. But yeah, well, I'm inspired by a lot of things. Artists usually can't not be creative. We don't always need a lot to be able to put stuff down all the time. It's very natural often. I find that for me personally. I don't really find, at least this point in my career, I'm having a lot of block or anything, but it definitely does happen. But yeah, so I'm mostly influenced, I think, by architecture. I remember seeing the pyramids when I was young in a book, and I was like, that's crazy and weird, and I like it a lot. It just interested me, what they were, how they were built and everything. So I guess like my main inspiration is art. And then probably my second biggest inspiration is our own subconscious. I find mine very interesting. I'm often looking inward, and that's always been intriguing to me. And I can also do a lot of like venting and stuff by using art that way and everything. And then I like to listen to a lot of music too. I think that helps inspire me. And I like to learn about ancient cultures. I think that's really interesting. It's very mysterious. We don't know a lot about it. And I think that's really what pulls me in.
I find it just mind blowing as an engineer who, leaves work every morning, and I walk by the studio and, I might see a figure on a canvas when I leave in the morning, and I come back and it's just gone. It's just been buried by layers of paint. There's a building there. There's like magical arches and stairways in the place. But I'm like, where did the figure go? And she, it's just, that doesn't matter. That's gone. It's just for
very
me.
Romantic.
Yeah, no, just for me, I'm so analytical. My brain works in ones and twos numbers, just to watch the process is, it's almost uncomfortable at times, but it's amazing. It's real fun to have the opposite, the juxtapose of the artist versus the analytical.
Not to get philosophical, but like when you brought up how artists are commonly misunderstood, like why do you think that is? But then also, I guess you wouldn't get their art, right? Like the art is the way that they can express themselves in a way that maybe we can understand. Like what do you think that, because I'm sure it's a frustration where you're like, I just wish they knew what was going on inside of my head, but here I'll show them through my arts.
Well, yeah. So art is very much a visual communication, and that is how artists communicate. We need to communicate visually. It's often hard for us to speak about it, but I think people, where they go wrong is they're wondering why they don't understand, instead of like, maybe it's okay to not understand, and it's also okay to have your own perception of art. That's super important. And I find that's important to me when I experience art, through music and stuff. I like to, everybody kind of does this, right? If you're going through a breakup or something sad happens, you hear a song that kind of, gives you those expressive emotions and stuff. And so I think people, they're like, I don't get it. And that makes them frustrated or angry or whatever, that turns them off to it, when oftentimes it's like, it's really okay to not get it. Like it's also okay if you don't like it. Art is supposed to be not liked. That's what's important about it. It's supposed to be strange. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. It's supposed to be vulnerable. So if you're not really experiencing those things, like, what are we doing? Are we having emotions or not? So it's okay. It's okay to feel weird. It's okay to not understand.
So whether negative or positive, the goal is to invoke emotion out of people.
Yeah, when you're an artist, what you don't want is people to be bored with your art. It's okay to have negative reactions.
So at least they're still feeling.
They're still feeling. And honestly, when you have a negative or a different opinion about something, that's when I get to learn the most about myself and my art, is when people bring their ideas and stuff. And that's what artists want. We want to be influenced by each other. I know it's kind of hard right now, but I want to be inspired by everyone else's ideas. I want to look at other artists. I want to look at other cultures. I've always been inspired by other cultures and stuff and other ideas. That's the whole part. It's about not using each other, but being there together with each other and looking at each other's art. We got to look at it.
Do you have like painters in mind? Like who are your like top artists, whether like you were saying musicians or painters or I don't know, sculptors or I'll let you take over.
Yeah. So I guess I've always felt very traditional. I've always felt like a painter, even though I do a lot of drawing, and that's actually, I think, my expertise right now. And I've been doing digital work and stuff. If I really wanted to, like, I'll give you, like I said, first of all, like architecturally, like the pyramids, but in particular, Imhotep was actually a real person, and he was an architect, and he built Djoser's pyramid. It was the first pyramid, one of the first pyramids ever built, and it's actually a step pyramid. So what we see is the ancient peoples trying and reworking and figuring out how they're going to make this actual pyramid. Wow. So it kind of shows a lot of trial and error. So I'm really inspired by that because I like the psyche, the subconscious of the human, and the mysterious of the ancient peoples. So that's really important to me. I mean, I'm really inspired by arches. A lot of different, European buildings have that. And then how about in Mesoamerica, Cholula? It's a big pyramid. It's really interesting. I like that. Let's go painters. I'm a big Hieronymus Bosch fan from Northern Renaissance, 14th century. He did a lot of like hell inspired, obviously like Catholic, a lot of things were religiously inspired. And there's actually this painter right now, present day, a living artist that I love looking at. His name is Matt Hansel, and he's very inspired by Hieronymus Bosch. So I'm really into that. I have one, Allison. What's her name? I can't even remember her name. Whatever. Lots of really...
We still love you, Allison.
Yeah.
If you're out there.
No, it's not. It was a different one. But there's a lot of great artists that are obviously coming out right now. Some great ones in Phoenix and stuff. And there's also some good art here in Las Vegas. But, I just always trying to be inspired. The Southwest, I think, is the most inspirational place. I think everybody making art in the Southwest is doing an incredible job. So that's just my opinion on that and who my favorite people are. I like soundtracks when I listen to music. The new Tears of the Kingdom soundtrack is really good. Any Zelda,
That's a Zelda game.
Any Zelda soundtracks are very inspiring.
FYI.
All right. Those are my inspirations.
Now, what's fascinating also about both of you is that not only do you create, but you're in galleries, like you're out there getting your art out there, and that's always like the $1 million question is how, once I create this thing, how do I get it out there for people to see? So what has that journey been like? Because that's its own journey in addition to the creating and the being inspired by these artists. And how do I get the canvas to look a certain way? Now there's a whole nother path that you have to take to get that art out there. So maybe share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So obviously there's a business side of everything, but some artists do make art that's never seen. And that's also really important art, but that's not me. I think my art's really great. I want people to see it and be inspired by it. But there's an administrative part to it. There's a business part to it. There's a sales part to it. I'm technically in showbiz, so I have to, kind of not be as introverted as I am and go out and talk to people. And because I do want to tell them about my art. But there's also a huge level of, I used to work administration actually here in Las Vegas for a real estate company, real estate and construction. And
Shout out to South Bay.
I did administration for that company, and I actually learned quite a lot. And the job I was doing before that, I did some of her social media. And that was like when social media was kind of just kicking up in like 2010, 2011, I guess maybe a little later. But I was doing that for her business. So there is huge sides. Obviously, Instagram's super important. That's a big thing. Just trying to get people to notice you, to get eyes on you. Whoever can get eyes on your work is important. But even organizing, I try and apply for as many shows as I can. You're not supposed to apply the same artwork twice. If it's showing somewhere else, needs to be somewhere. So you have to organize all that. It actually takes quite a lot. And that's where Mike comes in. He's been helping me organize. I've been using Trello to organize all my artwork. And so I know where it is. I know what's showing where and everything. And then there's the traveling of the arts and stuff. So this was my biggest show here that I have. I have my first solo show here in Las Vegas. It's right now, but it was hard getting it all up. We had to take 2 different trips.
12 pieces of art?
Yeah, it was 12. So it was like 10, 18 by 24 paint drawings and then 2 larger paintings. So it was quite difficult. But it's so much. I'm not just at home creating. I have to advertise for myself. I'm a 1-person team. I do all the business. I do
write the proposals.
I do a lot of proposal writing. I do a lot of letter of intents. Like it's when I have to put together an application, it is very extensive. Actually, it usually takes me like a week to put together a whole application. So
when you're storing and transporting your art with our classic Vegas heat, how do you, I mean, with the paint oils and all I don't really know the science behind any of that, but basically, how do you make sure that your art doesn't melt away?
Well, so I'm
We're learning still,
Mike's
right?
shaking his head.
I mean,
That's actually,
it's been an adventure.
It's definitely been an adventure. Like I said, I had a show in Vegas right before this, and these have been my biggest hauls. So lots of towels to cover them. Like I said, 2 different hauls, reboxing everything, packing everything up, just like putting them in one place and then putting them in a car and then putting them in another place, trying to keep them in as many air conditioning places as possible. We got
Keep
lucky.
them away from UV light, driving them,
Yeah, we got lucky because it was during the winter that we've done these 2 shows, but we also drove down here in torrential downpour through Kingman or Wickenburg with my 2 paintings in the back. So that was scary.
An hour waiting for the weather to go before we got
we're
back on the
talking
road.
driving a pickup truck.
Yes.
We were driving my pickup truck, but I mean, recently, Talia's jumping into even bigger and bigger canvases. She's got some big, what
would you say, like 6 by 10?
6 by 8 foot canvases where, I mean, I rented a U-Haul.
Yeah, that's a wall.
It was a wall, and it's exciting. It's intimidating. It's another reason why the studio's got to grow, probably.
Yeah. Is that a lot of pressure when you have such a large canvas where you're like, oh, I don't want to mess this up? Or is it just like, we'll get another one?
Both, I guess. I don't really have a lot of expendable materials at this point, but I do have to have that attitude that I can just mess it up because I'm not learning anything if I'm holding back. So
no risk, no reward.
And that's what art is. You have to risk it all, honestly. Yeah.
All of it's fascinating to me. And I know that you have a certain style, but have you ever been approached by whoever, whether it's like a company, corporation, or whatever, that's like, we really like what you're doing, but we'd really like it if you painted something for our energy drink or maybe even Vegas Golden Knights or something like that, something commercial. Have you ever had the opportunity to try to inject your style, but into like a corporate brand type of thing? Or are you just creating art however you like to create it?
Yeah. So in Phoenix especially, and out here in Vegas, there's plenty of opportunities for commercial art. There's many more opportunities for commercial artists everywhere, actually. But I've never been approached by any company, but I have had friends who have come up to me and been like, oh, can you paint me this and stuff? And so stuff like that does happen and everything. I don't apply for any commercial opportunities. That's just not who I am as an artist. There's nothing wrong with commercial artists, but I am a fine artist.
There's just so many paths to where you're like, this is the path that I want to be on.
I went to school for fine art, so I'm going to continue in that. And fine artists, they make the art that they need to make, and that's what they do. And so I'm going to continue that. Yeah. I mean, I could paint dog portraits and maybe make a lot more money, but is that fulfilling and inspiring to me? Mm-hmm. Absolutely not.
Does downtown Vegas play a part? Because I know that's, you got the arts district and it's a very artsy part of town. Like, do you ever do galleries out there, or is that a place like the First Fridays or any of those festivals to where you can get your art out there? Has that ever been a thing?
I definitely looked at opportunities out there, but it's very commercial.
Okay.
So it's just not where I'm going.
Gotcha.
Surprisingly, the Clark County libraries all have nice, amazing galleries attached to them that have galleries. Open calls for art, and that's where she's showing right now up in North Vegas is one of these library gallery spaces. It's just what a great partnership the libraries have brought with the local art community.
Yeah. Shout out Las Vegas libraries. They have a lot of great artists. I know an artist from Tucson who I actually met in Phoenix who's showing out here at the Clark County Library districts. They have gorgeous libraries libraries out here. They're incredible. If you guys want to go down to Centennial Hills Library, my show runs until June 21st. So please go see it. Library hours. It's open to the public and it's free art.
Yep. I was there for the opening. It's still going. So very exciting.
Yeah.
What's the name of the show again?
It's called Building Materials. And there's an excerpt. Bring your kids. It's great. Stop by on your way out of the library, into the library. You can see it. It's free.
I think that the most exciting thing was, as you know, when Talia and I got out of college, she had to put her, foot down with me, and we had to build our foundation before we really drove into the art. She wanted to do it full time. She didn't want to do it part time. And, as we've gotten into the art, one of the most amazing things I found is like how many free community art shows there are out there. Like we are coming up on celebrating 16 years of being together. And so at this,
hold on, how many years?
16.
Woo.
Yeah. But keeping it interesting, keeping it purposeful, like the amount of amazing art shows that we've been able to go to for free. And it's not like we're getting comped or anything. These are open, free gallery spaces in the community.
How do you find it? You just have to get into the groups on Facebook. How do you find these kinds of things? I feel like once you immerse yourself in that world, same when I was doing comedy, like you're in that world, and when you're in the climbing world, all these little doors open up and you're like, oh, I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, you start following all the artists. You start to see them advertising. You follow the galleries. You start to see them advertising.
Yeah, like Clark County, their library, their page, their Instagram page, who's shared a lot of my stuff that I'm so grateful for. They post the other shows that are going on in the library districts and stuff. So if you followed that page, you would know about it. And then you would see the other artists posting about their shows. And that way you can go and check them out, see what they're doing, see where they're showing and everything. Most places are free. You can go anywhere. So I guess I don't know exactly for Las Vegas, but if you are in Phoenix, there's this corporation or organization called ArtLink. And if you just sign up for their newsletters, they'll just give you a whole list of what to go see.
So before we wrap this up, links, how do we find your art? How do we find you guys?
Well, you can check my Instagram. It's Talia J. Dudley Art. And then I have a website, which is Talia J. Dudley. So that's where you'll find me. Or you could go to the Centennial Hills Library before June 21st and check out my show, Building Materials.
Yeah, I'm clean. I got no social media anymore. I just got the business professional LinkedIn account,
Love it.
Check them out at the Golden Knights hockey game.
Yeah, we'll be there
hopefully
tonight.
I'll see you guys on TV.
Yeah, we'll be there tonight for game one.
Maybe giving someone the finger like that one.
Oh, no, yeah.
That famous lady that gave the Edmonton Oilers guy the finger with the one game.
To be honest, my dad went up to San Jose in a past series playoff run, and they were really mean to him. He's in his 70s, and that left an impression on both of us. We love the rivals. We love everybody. You can't have sports without the rivals. So come to Vegas. Come watch your team. You don't have to be a Vegas fan. We love you anyway. We bought a row of Oilers fans beers once. So I think it's a very, very fun and friendly environment to come to the NHL. And you guys have the AHL now here too. So you have your farm team with the Silver Knights, the Henderson Silver Knights. You can catch games over there too.
I'm excited. So the time of this recording is Saturday, June 3rd, game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. What are we calling it? Vegas in 4, Vegas in 6? What's our prediction? Ooh. Is Vegas going to win tonight? Game 1. Game 1's huge. I think they will.
Yeah.
Game 1 is going to be Vegas because the Panthers, I think they've been off 9 days or something, 11 days.
A little too rested.
A little bit too rested. And I think they're riding a goalie that's standing on his head. And so you give him too much rest and maybe he gets out of his mojo. Yeah.
Knights in 4.
No, it's not going to be. It's not going to be 4. It's going to be, I'd say, Knights in 6.
Nice. Today's June 3rd. My number is 3. I was born on January 3rd. My son is born on May 3rd. So I'm saying Knights today win 3-0.
Ooh, I'm gonna say 2-1.
Yeah, I don't know.
Knights.
There we go.
So it'll give you a 3 still in a way.
I got some superstitions, guys. I don't think.
I'm
just gonna let this one roll.
Well,
out.
cheers to you guys. This has been a really fun pregame. We gotta get you guys to the game. Thanks for doing this podcast. I'm always happy to have you guys come back.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
I can't wait till this comes out. And
we're gonna be back up for so many more art shows. You just know it. So we'll be in touch.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see the growth. I'm excited to constantly see your art evolve. Love when you guys are here.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you for subscribing to Vegas Faces on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok under the name Gavri Group. That's Gavri Group. Thanks, everybody. See you at the next episode.